Okay, let's start our today's lecture. And first of all, I want to introduce myself. I just do it now without presentation because I have some technical problems to fix it, but I'll do it while I'm representing myself. My name is Maria Bajna, and I'm from Yekaterinburg, Russia. I'm now, what is my position? What are my details? I'm doctor of legal science, and I also give lectures at Ural State Law University, named after Veniamin Fedorovich Yakovlev. This university is situated in Yekaterinburg. It is in the middle of Russia. Yesterday you had lecture of Elizaveta Gromova. She is from Chelyabinsk. So Chelyabinsk is about 3 hours by car from Yekaterinburg. So we are neighbors. And we also invite you to visit our university, as we held a different events, such as conferences, different schools, and we also have master program. It is in English, so you can also try your best and try to become a student of our university. As to today's lecture, I want you just to think about artificial intelligence in transportation. But if some of you were at lectures that were held previously, I mean in summer 2022, you can say that it was the topic of previous lecture. Yes, you are right, those who think so, but you know that technologies do not stop on the same place. They move. So lawyers are also in everyday movement to follow the achievements of technologies, and that's why legal regulation is also developing. This year, while we were doing our deals, we were busy with our own matters. Legal regulation was not stopped on the same place. It is also in everyday movement, and that's why I think that this topic will not be the repeat of the previous. If we will meet in a year or in 2 years, it is always we have something new to tell and to discuss. And while my computer is thinking, because he's always doing like this while I'm giving lectures on artificial intelligence, because he wants to show that so it's not right time for artificial intelligence, and that's why he's always thinking for a long time. So we start without presentation, and then I'll put it to work when it will be ready. So I always like to give lectures in a conversation manner. So it means that, of course, I speak myself a lot, but I also want you to think and to answer my questions. I'm sorry, my watchers also want to speak, the first question to you is, what do you think? What is intellectual transportation systems? What do you imagine to yourself when you hear these 3 words, intellectual transportation system? Mm-hmm. Guys, you're welcome to answer.
Guys, you can raise your hands and we'll allow you to unmute.
Mm-hmm. Nobody. Just you can share your opinion. It's not a problem, really. If you a little bit hesitated in something, it's also not a problem, because we are here to discuss this. I think that only few people, if there is any, at least, can say that they are specialists in this topic, because it is really very very not difficult, but I should say very comprehensive. And so while you are thinking, not far along, I was participating in one conference that was held in Russia in Russian language, and there was the discussion about automated vehicles. And one of the specialists asked another one about the opinion. What do you think? Is it possible that automated vehicles will be the reality, not the reality um, in the field of experiment, but will it be the reality as we use it every day, as we make decisions along with these automated vehicles? Is it be the reality of the near future? And another specialist says, I think that automated vehicles can be reality only for transportation for far distance, and when we use it in daily life just to move ourselves from one part to another, it's not economically right, because so it's too expensive. And if we use it for long distance, so then we have some profits, economic profits, and in this case these automated vehicles will be used. So that was her answer. And the specialist that was questioning, he, according to the reaction of this specialist, it was not difficult to understand that he was not fully agree with this opinion. So the same is with our situation now. You can just think what is intellectual transportation systems and share your opinion, because to make us discuss this topic. Okay. Is any intellectual? There is the answer. I will read it. Intellectual transportation systems could be where the transportation systems could make their own decision at certain situation with the help of artificial intelligence and intelligent systems. Well, of course, you are right that intellectual transportation systems, they make decisions by themselves. But what is it, intellectual transportation systems? Where we, what are the components of this system? Because we speak about system, and it means that it is not something one, yeah, that there are some different components, elements of this system. And the question is, what are these elements? What are these parts of this system? Because we speak about it. There is another answer. Some intelligent decision in transport schedule. Okay, so here is something very close to our topic, to my question, that it is schedule or routine routing This means that our intelligent transportation system includes intellectual routing, intellectual schedule, or something automated process to fix the schedule in automated variant. There is another answer: the application of sensing, analysis, control, and communications technologies to ground transportation in order to improve safety, mobility, and efficiency. So it means that it is a kind of application. It could be, of course. I think that so we can combine some answers that we have now, and we can at least decide. So you see that there is a very interesting thing that it is very difficult to say in a one sentence or in something very clear, what is intellectual transportation system. There is another answer, so I will read every message, because it is very important for us to gather everything and to analyze what you understand under intellectual transportation system, and then we can come to the not maybe right, but to the position that is in priority today. So another answer: safe and efficient systems of controlling and analyzing various communications and informations for proficient use of data safely. Okay. Okay, so what can I get from these messages? The first one, it is something, the first feature is that is something automated. So as we can assume that it is something that is made without person, without man. So it is made it automatically, and then this is the first feature of intellectual transportation system. Another feature that I said to you a little bit earlier, is that it is a system. It means that it has some elements. So we see that it is not something that it is just one thing. No, it is a very complicated, comprehensive combination of different elements. And then our task is to understand what elements are what elements are included in this intellectual transportation system. And you've said that it is, for example, some automated schedule or routing. It also could be. So it is a kind of applications, a combination of applications that are used to make the system works. So it's also right. And the aim of using another feature is the third, another feature is that the main aim of using these automated elements together is to make our daily usage of transportation services safety, and to make them more efficient economically, environmentally, personally, for our use, from the commercial point of view, to make them efficient. So it means that there are these elements work together, and in this sense we view it as a system that helps us to fix some task, to fix some elements. So let's imagine, let's now think about these elements. Previously with last lecture that was previous year, we speak about artificial intelligence in transportation. And when we speak about artificial intelligence in transportation, we of course speak about automated vehicles. And today we also will speak about them, but in what manner, in a what context. We will speak about automated vehicles as a part of these intellectual transportation systems. So it means that intellectual transportation system is not only, so there is a very widely spread opinion that intellectual transportation system is, for example, automated vehicles, the use of automated vehicles. But it could not be so, because automated vehicles just the part of this intellectual transportation system, and they cannot be the system itself, because when we speak about the system, we speak about the connections, and we speak about different communications of this element, the combination of this element. And that's why in this sense we have to speak about automated vehicles, but as the part of this intellectual system. And in this sense, there is another, and in this sense, you are right. Those of you who said that it is an application, that our intellectual transportation system is an application of sensing, analyzing, controlling of communication and communication. You were right in this part, because on the example of automated vehicles, we can say that, yes, they are the part of this system, and this system is just on a layer upper, and this system is to control of the use of these automated vehicles. This system is to make it to make the connections with these automated vehicles with another element of these intellectual transportation system. That in this sense, it is very important to analyze every element of these intellectual transportation system. Yes, I'm trying to I do not lose my hope to make the presentation, because it will be easier for me to explain some moments, but still there are some problems with the Zoom on my computer. Okay, never mind. So and we speak about in this sense, what are the other elements? So we speak about automated vehicles, and we say that they cannot be alone in this system. Yes, this is right. Automated vehicles are used in the environment, in the intellectual environment. In this and this intellectual environment includes also infrastructure. Infrastructure means the environment with the different objects, such as, for example, bus stations, or, for example, railways, or we can also speak about some equipment that is used in infrastructure, and we can also speak about the connections between between the separated objects of infrastructure. So the connection, the communication between these objects is also the part of intellectual transportation system. And the communication between the different objects of infrastructure and automated vehicles, their interaction towards each other is also the question of intellectual transportation systems. So you see, in this sense, so we have two elements now. I just sum up the information that we have discussed, that we spoke about automated vehicles as the element of intellectual transportation system. And another part is infrastructure, and the connection links between these parts of intellectual transportation system is also are also included into the intellectual transportation system. But it also not the all elements of intellectual transportation system. When we speak about transportation, we speak not only about vehicles, we speak also about the documentation, because we cannot transport something without documents. And now, if you look at the ordinary system of transportation, you can notice for sure, and you can also open some acts that regulate transportation, international transportation, or your local national transportation. You will see that there are different documents, and these documents are used while we in the process of transportation. These documents usually are performed to ensure parties of what kind of good is transported, what kind or what destination is agreed, and other details of transportation. And in this sense, we can say that paper documentation, transportation documentation exists. And this paper transportation documentation is now local for each kind of mode of transport, kind of transport. For example, transportation by road has its own documentation system. Transportation by air has its own transportation documentation system. And there is no any links between these separately existing systems of documentation. Now, it is the reality. What is now? Of course, in Russia, for example, there are some attempts to make the transportation documentation in electronic form, and there are some very interesting cases that our operators, that our carriages are ready to use electronic transportation documentation, but the matter is that consumers of transportation services, I mean now consignor and consignee, are not ready. Who are consignors and consignee? They are just sellers and buyers, and they do not ready for electronic documentation. And in this case, we cannot develop this system in a sense that how it has to be, because when Korea offers this system to his clients, they refuse, because they do not have any they are not ready for extra expenses. They just want to move their goods from one part to another. And in this sense, transportation documentation system has now two very big problems. The first problem is that transportation documentation is not ready to come on electronic level because of the problem of not carriers, they are ready, as I have mentioned, but the consumers. And the second problem is that electronic documentation system is developed in a local manner. There is also two problems: local for each kind of transport and local for each country. That is the point. When we speak about transportation, we have to understand that transportation has to link different parts, not of only one country, but of the whole world. And transportation is not imagined without crossing borders. Transportation is about to cross borders in different directions. And when we speak about just local electronic transportation documentation system, then we cannot speak about transportation in international manner. We cannot develop international transportation at all. That's why there could be some difficulties in this situation, and when we come to our intellectual transportation systems, we cannot develop it in the system itself, because for now they have some negative aspects that are not fixed on the level that to which we used to. So we cannot fix it now, and when we put it into the more comprehensive level, and the intellectual transportation system is a kind of this, we have to understand that it is would be harder to get every components ready. And but why it is important? When we speak about intellectual transportation system, we control not only vehicles, we control also documentation, we control also goods. So you see, it's like it's like a kind of environment, intellectual environment, where all steps are fixed. And this is very important, because there are a lot of cases when goods are not delivered because they are lost, because they are stolen, because of another reasons. And this intellectual transportation system helps us also to fix these problems, to go forward and to try to solve these problems. And of course, intellectual transportation system helps us to so I'm sorry, a little bit trying to Стёп, ты мне мешаешь. Не мешай, пожалуйста.
Recording in progress.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Guys, do you hear? Okay. Do you hear me now?
Ma'am, your voice is lagging.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Now, yes, can you give me the right to share the presentation? Now I'm ready to do it because I fixed it on my computer, and I want to show guys what I was prepared.
Just a minute.
Okay.
Ma'am, you can share now.
Okay, thank you. Yes, here it is. So this is. Can you see? Yes. Can you see my presentation now? Or yes?
No, ma'am.
No. Wait. And now, do you see my presentation?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, great. So, as we spoke about elements, and I just try to make your view on intellectual transportation system just not narrow but very wide to make you think about the ways how transportation system would be developed in future. And so we discussed what is intellectual transportation system, and we spoke about automated vehicles. There are some. Just a moment, it's loading now again. There are some also acts so the main problem, as you understand, that different elements of intellectual transportation systems are regulated in its own manner. So there is no any act that would combine all elements together. And that is the main problem of regulation of intellectual transportation systems. So there is, for example, just to make you very vivid, the situation in legal regulation. So there is regulation of usage of implementation of automated vehicles. Does it exist? Yes, this exists. There is this regulation exists in different countries, and it is national regulation. For example, in Russian Federation. So I just try to move forward and to show you. Yes, legal regulation in European Union. There is its own legal regulation, and we can get acquainted with acts that shows us for example, levels of automation, and these levels, and here you can see some conventions, and we can also speak about some levels. These levels are used in different countries, and there are six levels, and these levels are used. We cannot say that they are international, but the majority of countries use these levels as the base for develop the automated regulation. For example, in Russian Federation, we use these gradation, we use these levels to speak about, to show what is automated vehicles. And under automated vehicles, we understand the level of automation 4 and 5. And so we have high automated vehicles and full automated vehicles. And in this sense, we have some acts that regulate the usage of high automated vehicles and full automated vehicles, but in experimental manner. So, and what does it mean? It means that there are some territories, and these territories on these territories, there is an opportunity to use these vehicles, and if they are used, there is some norms that applied to the situations with these vehicles. And for example, there are some norms that regulates the opportunity of these vehicles to be used on the road. So they have to satisfy some demands, some requirements, technical requirements, some documental requirements. And in this sense, only when they are satisfied to these requirements, they can be used. There are also some norms that I'm sorry, there are also some norms that regulates the responsibility of in the case when these vehicles were the reason of some damage, of some situations when there was damage. And in this sense, these acts are very interesting. How, from the point of view of the lawyer, how our legislature fix the problems of usage of these automated and highly automated vehicles. But again, these automated vehicles, under these automated vehicles, we understand only vehicles that are used on the road. So cars, different trucks, and so on. But we do not think about automated vehicles in the sense of other mode of transportation. So these acts in Russia, on international levels, here you can see the examples, they are used only for transportation by road, and there is not any link to the other kinds of modes of transportation. And this is also the problem. Well, why? This is the problem not only in sense of development of intellectual transportation system, but it is also such kind of problem, but it is the obstacle to develop multimodal transportation, because when we do not have single regulation for different modes of transportation, then we have problems. So I can bring you an example from the legislation of Russia. There is we do not have still we do not have regulation on multimodal transportation. So we have just we do not have any law. We just have one article in the Civil Code of Russian Federation which says that there must be such kind of law that regulates multimodal transportation, but there is no such law at all. And but it is very important to use these opportunity in transportation, because the majority aspirations cannot be fulfilled only by one mode of transport. If you look, there are always 2 or 3 modes of transport that are used in any transportation operation. Of course, there could be one mode of transport, for example, cars or trucks, but the majority, the vast a lot of transportation operations just require the several modes of transportation. Otherwise, they cannot be fulfilled at all. And in this sense, the development of this multimodal transportation is the question of the development of transportation system. And if we will not think about the development of this regulation, there would be some problems with transportation itself. And as there is no such kind of regulation in Russian Federation on local level, even without using, even when we use ordinary cars, ordinary vehicles, then if we come to another level, a level of using automated vehicles, we come to this problem again. And here are more problems, because there is no single regulation on automated vehicles, for example, that are moving by road, and there is no developed regulation on transportation by air. And when we combine all of these 2 modes, we come to the problem that how to make the connection between these 2 modes. And that is the problem for existing legal regulation, and we have to fix it somehow. Maybe we have several variants. Maybe these levels of automation could be spread, could be general and spread on different modes of transport. So for cars, for airplanes, and so on. I understand that each mode of transport has its own peculiarities, has its own features, and you can give me arguments that it's impossible to do this because each kind of transport is unique. But I think that it's not a real problem, because we can speak about general features that can be in common for different modes of transport. And in this sense, so it's possible to make these automation system applicable for different modes. And terminology. I spoke about this point previously. So I do not see that the picture has been changed. So can you see another one? A little bit, it's necessary to wait. Okay, there will be, here is the slide for terminology. So here is the definitions of highly automated vehicles. You can get acquainted with them. So it means the main idea of these notions that that man does not take part in the driving, in the process of driving. Automated driving system does it instead of the man. And the same idea can be put when we speak about automated vehicles on air, automated vehicles on sea, and so on. This could be the same. And that's, in this sense, it's not difficult to imagine. And there is also a very difficult situation with the terms that are used now. So we can see terms automated vehicle, autonomous, self-driving, driverless, and so on. And they are used to different kinds of modes. And we have to think about the general terminology that can be used not only for transportation by road, but also for other modes, and it would be general, common for everybody. Very important, that would be used not only in one country, but in different countries. Why it is important? Again, you see, transportation cannot be local. Of course, there are some local transportation operations, of course, when goods are moved from one part to another, but we cannot speak about transportation in future just a local act. It would be always international because our economies are built in the way that we have to change goods, that we have to that we produce some goods to satisfy interests and needs of these goods of other countries. And in this sense, transportation is the key to help these changing going further. And in this sense, we have to think about how it would be in future when artificial intelligence would be used in transportation also. In this sense, this as we speak about today about transportation, intellectual transportation systems, these intellectual transportation systems has to be not local, they has to be international, and the requirements, demands to the equipment that would be used in as the kind of as the base, as the ground for different applications, they must be international. They must be applicable when we cross the border. And imagine the situation when the car, the vehicle, we will take the vehicle that move by road, and it moves to some border it moves on the road of one country, and then it's necessary to cross the border and move on the road of another country. And imagine that this automated car was controlling by one applicational system, by one intellectual transportation system, and there was some applications that were elaborated, that were issued in one country, and they are and they work in this country, and then they come to the border of another country, and another country there is another absolutely different intellectual transportation system that has its own applications, that has its own demands, requirements, and so on. And what will be with this vehicle? It will stop. It will stop, and it will not move further, because it will not be recognized by that intellectual transportation system. And in this sense, it would be a great obstacle of the development of international trade. And to prevent these situations, it is necessary to think about these situations now. We have to elaborate international acts that will be common for that will be applied in different countries, and they would have the same terminology, the same requirements, general requirements. Of course, I do not say that we have to choose one company that would produce applications for in our intellectual transportation system, and each country has to come to this country and ask to supply these applications to them. No, of course not. But the requirements, the demands to these systems, to these automated systems, to these applications have to be common, have to be recognized by different countries. And in this sense, we can solve this problem. And when we speak about the intellectual transportation systems, we have also to think about these elements. Today we say that that vehicles is one of the elements of intellectual transportation system. Infrastructure is another one. Transportation documents, documentation is also an element of intellectual transportation system. And the connections between these elements are also the part of intellectual transportation system. And when we speak about, for example, as there was an example at the beginning, automated schedule. Of course, automated schedule is the part of intellectual transportation system, but it is only the it's not even an element. It is the tool to make this intellectual transportation system works. It is the tool of interaction of all these elements, because here is the communication between vehicle and infrastructure, and also there must be some the question of the person who will be responsible for to make this system working, who will be responsible for losses, for damages that can arise along the transportation. Today, according to international legislation, according to the Russian legislation, there is the carrier is the person who is responsible for, but the role of carrier has been changing. And we cannot do anything with this, because Korea, as we imagine this participant of the relations now, previously, is not the same in the intellectual transportation system. Korea is just the person who signs the contract, but along with the Korea, there are another participants who are who has a very important role in transportation relationships along with the Korea. And these participants are those who supports the intellectual transportation system, who supports separated elements of this intellectual transportation system. These participants are the producers of different applications. These participants are others who take part in these transportation elements. For example, the owners of intellectual infrastructure, they also are participants. So you see, and when we speak about the responsibility of only Korea, we will not manage the situation, because we will not find the solution for the questions of responsibility if there is any damage or losses in the process of transportation, because these damages and losses can be caused not by the actions of Korea, not at all, but they can be caused by the actions of other participants about which we have spoken now. So it could be the producer of the application, it could be the owner of some objects of infrastructure, it could be the operator that supports the some elements of intellectual transportation system, or intellectual transportation system itself. And today there is no answer for the whole list of participants who will be the participants of intellectual transportation system. There is no. So we speak only about the operator of automated vehicles. There is such a participant, and it is named in some acts, also European acts, international acts, in the Russian Federation. There is also such figure, such person, but he is also not the only one in this intellectual transportation system. And the functions of this operator is also not vivid now. They are not illustrated in a clear manner to make the situation with the responsibility clear to everybody. In this sense, what we have today, we have a big problem of responsibility. So I move to the question of responsibility. Yes, one moment. And the responsibility, we spoke about damages and losses, but as we have started our lecture, that intellectual transportation system is aimed to fix some problems of high priority. This is, and one of these problem is safety. Of course, when we speak about some accidents now, that in our today's transportation system, the majority of accidents are caused by human some these reasons are caused by humans themselves, but so it depends on the human behavior, and it depends on our condition, in what condition the person that drives the car itself, or that drive the airplane. And that's why it's the automated vehicles, they help us to reduce the number of accidents that were caused by people. And that's why it is the solution for such accidents. But when we speak about automated vehicles as the element of intellectual transportation system, we have to understand that intellectual transportation system is very light target, or a very easy target for different third persons who want to do some wrong acts, we can say so. So it's a very easy target for different criminals who can abuse different objects, who wants to prove something from political views, from economical views, and so on. And in this sense, we speak about cybersecurity, because when we speak about intellectual transportation systems, you understand that everything is in cyberspace. Everything is done in cyberspace, and that's why the intervention into this space is very easy for people who are not the participants and who have some other aims. And cybersecurity is the question number one in all these situation, in all these topic. And along with the problems about which we have spoken today, there is also the problem of cybersecurity and how to support cybersecurity in this situation. And of course, it's you can say that it's a technical issue. Of course, it's a technical issue because there must be some programs that protect operations, that protect work of applications, and so on. But legal regulation is not far away from the main problems in this sense, because thanks to legal regulation, we can think about the responsibility of those who abuse rights of participants of transportation relations, and so on. We can speak about their responsibility as criminal responsibility, as civil responsibility, administrative responsibility, and so on. And along with these issues, there is also another issue that we have to also to understand how to solve it, the problem of responsibility with the losses and damages to the goods that was occurred by third people. So imagine that automated car is moving and somebody interfered into the operation system and change some settings, and car goes to to the crowd of people, or to another car, and so on. And in this sense, there is the question, who would be responsible for damages? Of course, can we say that it's force majeure, or it's and that is why the Korea, for example, if there would be Korea, the person who is responsible for transportation, the Korea is responsible for these actions. It's very difficult to answer this question, because if we look at the criteria of force majeure, we can say that, of course, it was not in the it was not foreseen. It could not be foreseen that somebody would interfere into the automated operation system. There could be other arguments that protects Korea, and that says that Korea is not responsible for these actions. But in our days, in days of usage of artificial intelligence, we can say that maybe it's not so, because nowadays the modern careers have to foresee such situations, have to elaborate different measures to prevent such situations. And the criteria of force majeure has been changed in comparison with the situation of middles of 20s and so on. So it's not like it was 10 or 20 years ago. They have been changed. And in this sense, we can say that we also has to think about the problems of responsibility in the case of cybersecurity. And when we come to the conclusion of today's lecture, I want to sum up everything that have been said. So, intellectual transportation system is a kind of system that manage different elements of this system, and these elements are concerned with automated vehicles, with infrastructure, with documentation, transportation documentation, or with actions of different participants. These are very huge elements of this system, and all these elements works due to different applications, due to different technical equipments, due to different links between these equipments and so on. So it's the huge technical aspect is behind the work of these elements. But the question of using intellectual transportation system is not only technical, it is also the legal issue also, because we are, as lawyers, have to make this system, we bring together this system, because we make these links between different parts of this intellectual transportation system, and we make we make it works. Only lawyers can, I believe in this, some technical specialists do not view this aspect at all, but I believe that listening to different lectures, I understand that technical specialists have very narrow approach. They see only their own part of field of work, and they do not see the system itself. And they can be brilliant specialists in their narrow field, but it will not be successful, because transportation system can work only when all elements are together, bring together, and when all elements have the links, when there is certain relations, new relations that are regulated by law. And the task of lawyers to see these links, to elaborate new kinds of relations and to understand them, to give a legal body for these relations. And in this sense, this huge system, and it is really very huge, can work. And there is also some international issues that we have to have in mind, that this intellectual transportation system will not work in a national system. It will work only when we have international approach. International approach in general terms, in general requirements, in general conditions, and only in this sense these intellectual transportation system would be efficient. And the last point on which I want to stress your attention, that intellectual transportation system is a very easy target for criminals, and the security of intellectual transportation system is the problem number one, is the problem of high priority. And here is also technical issues and legal issues. Technical issues are to protect this system from technical point of view by developing different applications and so on. And the target of lawyers is to elaborate such kind of instruments, legal instruments, that allow us to protect the relationships from a legal point of view. It could be different norms, different provisions that set the responsibility of different participants, and that would stress out the person who is liable in these situations. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have some questions, I just check the message because I was not. There is the question in the chat. I would read it. If an automated vehicle commit any criminal offense, then who will be responsible? The owner of the automated vehicle or the company who made the vehicle? Thank you for your question. I tried to pronounce your name, Nea. Am I right, or I'm wrong in pronunciation? I'm not an Indian person, as you can see, but yeah, okay, I'm right. Then I'm an Indian person. Okay, so what is my opinion to this question? If such kind of vehicle commit any criminal offense, it depends on the situation. I want to believe that future legislation would fix it in the manner that um, that the owner of such automated vehicle should be responsible for any accidents, for any situations that can be with such kind of vehicle. It is very important to do so to make the relationships very vivid to the participants, because when we understand who is responsible, then we have very clear system of bringing someone to the responsibility. And but I want to develop my idea. But if we see that for example, this accident was the cause of this accident was because of the actions of the company, the producer of this vehicle. For example, they has been mistaken in some elements of this vehicle, or there was another mistake of this producer, then I think that owner has to have the right to get all the losses and damages to from these producer, from this company, to make this company reliable and to give money to the owner. But in the idea, but the idea is that owner is the person who is responsible. And after when the owner is fulfilled all the demands from the person who was injured or who had losses from this accident, or his relatives, after that he has to have the right to get his expenses from the company who is, for example, who has the fault in this situation, who is reliable for this vehicle that was produced by this company. So did I answer your question? So this such a scheme, yes. So there is the responsible person, and
Yes,
after he fulfilled all obligations in front of his clients and so on, or in front of people who was injured because of this vehicle, he has the right to issue demands to the producer, if producer is the person who is liable for the mistaken work of applications at this vehicle and so on. Okay. Thanks for interesting lecture. Please tell me what you think about the issue of liability for harm caused by unmanned vehicles. Should we wait for a comprehensive legal regulation in this area, or should we take the risk given that the technology may never be flawless? Thank you very much for your message. What do I think? So you have very interesting questions, really, because I think that there is no, for now, there is no certain right answer, because this field is a developing field. And of course, we have to elaborate provisions for liability. And do you remember that in my lecture, I spoke about experimental regimes? I think that yesterday you speak about them with Elizaveta Gromova. And these experimental regimes exist for automated vehicles. And legal regulation of these experimental regimes of using automated vehicles set some provisions for how the liability is. What is liability in these cases? And the idea is that there is such regulation in this experimental regime. There is not ordinary legal regulation, but when we speak about experimental regime, there is such regulation. And of course, we have to elaborate this liability in ordinary regime, not in experimental, because experimental regime, it's okay, but when we allow automated vehicles or unmanned vehicles to be the part of our daily life, to be used along with ordinary vehicles, we have to understand how they will be side by side, how they will be on the same territory together. And in this sense, we have to elaborate these provisions that would set the elements of liability, that would set the different issues of liability. There are some material aspects and, of course, procedural aspects. Who would be the person who is liable? So we have answered this question in previous issue, that the owner, from my point of view, the owner should be the person who is liable for any damages that was caused by this vehicle, unmanned vehicle. But of course, we have to follow technology, because technology is developing, and we cannot foresee all technologies that would be used in future. But for now, and in this sense, I think that legislation has to be very flexible, and it has to be changed due to the changing world, due to the technical changes. So that was that is my opinion in this sense. If I do not answer fully for your question, you can also write, and I would cover it also. The next message: thank you very much for your lecture. I'm writing a master's thesis about cybersecurity in quarter space. Unfortunately, we have a lot of issues on cybersecurity in international law and also in Russian criminal law. For example, we have only one international document that regulates this giant sphere, the Budapest Convention, but it is an old one, signed only by NATO participants. Yes, that is the question, that international documents do not, we do not have international documents in this sphere, in this modern field now. All the majority of acts that were signed in 1950s, in 1960s are very old, and they do not foresee these elements. And they, of course, there was no any idea that such kind of changes would be in today. And our task is, in your master degree, I'm sure that you have to cover these questions, and you have to show that there are plenty of issues that we have to elaborate in our legislation, that we have to cover in our legislation. And the view on the transportation relations is not now, must be not the same as they were previously, when in the middle of the transportation system was the contract of carriage of goods, and that's it. Today, it's not the idea. Of course, transportation of goods is what move transportation further, but in the middle or in the central part of transportation relationships are not only contract of carriage of goods, the contracts between different participants, between new participants, the infrastructure contracts are also come on the first come ahead, and we have to make this system, we have to create this new system of transportation relations. And that is a huge work, and it is work not only of one lawyer or the lawyers of one country. I will repeat, and I would repeat it, that that creation of transportation system, intellectual transportation system, is the combined work, is the mutual work of lawyers of different countries. Thank you very much. So do I answer all questions? Am I right? It seems to me, yes. So if I'm not sure that there is such kind of, no, there is no. If you are interested in some mutual work, or you want to ask more questions, so you can, so I can give you my mail. I can, it seems to me I can put it here. Yes, am I right? But I do not see my, I can
Yes,
put,
you can here put in the chat, and they can mail you if there is any questions.
Okay. Yes, I see it. I just didn't see the where I can write it. Okay. There is my mail, and you can mail me if you have some questions. So wait, I don't. It's a little bit slow today, unfortunately. So yes, you can write me. This is my mail. So you can introduce yourself and write your questions or something like this, so we can think about some issues together if there is such need. I want to thank you very much for your attention. It was a great pleasure for me to give lecture today, and I like your questions, really. I see that the majority of students are very interested in the legislation of changing world, and so that's why I think it's very important to support this interest, and these lectures, I think, would be a bread for thinking. I'm not sure that I'm right in English equivalent, but it's the food for your own researchers. It's give you ideas, give you thoughts that you can develop in your future researchers. Thank you very much, and so be in touch by different.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here. It was a very knowledgeable and interactive session indeed. So we had a great pleasure listening to you. Also, thank you everyone for being a very patient audience to us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you.